presented by Rezi. Bite-sized job search tactics for the AI era. Whether you're rewriting your resume, prepping for interviews, or figuring out your next move, we're here to help you compete smarter. Let's land it.
You know, there's that really specific kind of anxiety, the one you get staring at a blank page.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just so much worse when that page is supposed to, decide your whole financial future. The cursor's just blinking at you.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly you're paralyzed by these tiny questions like, is Times New Roman illegal now?
Yeah.
Or does this make me look old?
It's one of the highest stakes documents you'll ever write, and yet we're all, we're operating on advice we got 15 years ago. It really feels like a guessing game.
It totally does. One wrong move, one weird font choice, and you're just tossed into some digital trash can.
Exactly.
And that is exactly why we're doing this today. We're pulling apart a guide on resume standards for 2026, and I think the big headline is, the game has completely changed.
It's not just about impressing a person anymore.
Right. You're trying to survive this digital gauntlet before a human even knows you exist.
That really is the crux of it. The resume used to be like a biography, a history of your life. In 2026, it's a marketing flyer, and it's for two audiences: a robot and a very distracted human.
And if you don't get past the first one,
the second one never even sees you.
That sounds terrifying. But okay, also maybe freeing if we know the rules. So the mission today is to stop guessing. We're going to beat the algorithms and figure out why a word like hardworking is actually bad.
We're going to debunk a lot of myths, for sure. But more importantly, we're going to give you a blueprint.
Okay, so let's start with the hard truth, because this is where I think everyone gets stuck. The source calls it the golden rule of tailoring.
Right, and it's the pill nobody wants to swallow. The source is very, very clear.
Yeah.
You cannot send the same generic document to 50 different jobs.
You just can't.
If you're doing that, you're basically throwing it into a black hole.
Okay, but can I push back on that for a second?
Please do.
I mean, if you're a job seeker, you're playing a numbers game, right?
Right.
You need to get those applications out there. Rewriting your resume every single time just sounds exhausting. Are we really talking about rewriting the whole thing?
Well, it's not about rewriting your life story every time. It's more about strategic mirroring. You have to understand what you're up against.
Robot.
The robot. The first gatekeeper is the ATS, the Applicant Tracking System. It's software. It doesn't read between the lines.
It just matches keywords.
So if the job description asks for project management and your resume has team leadership,
even if they're basically the same thing in that context.
The bot often doesn't know that. That's the danger. You rank low on the keyword match and you end up at the bottom of the pile. The recruiter might never even see your name.
So tailoring is just, it's a translation exercise.
Exactly. You're swapping out your vocabulary for theirs. If they say client relations, you don't say customer service.
You say client relations.
You literally copy and paste their terminology. And the source has a great tip for this. Focus on the professional summary.
That's the little paragraph at the very top, right? The elevator pitch.
Right. Prime real estate. The guide suggests you explicitly mention the target job title and the company name right there. Marketing professional seeking the brand manager role at company X.
That feels so specific. Almost. Suspiciously so. Like, won't they know I just typed that in 5 seconds ago?
They will, and they'll love it. That's the point. It shows the human, once you get past the bot, that this isn't spam.
This is not a lazy application.
It's not. It proves you aren't just clicking quick apply on LinkedIn for 4 hours while watching Netflix.
It creates that instant connection. They wrote this for us. Okay, so we have to tailor. Let's get into the building blocks. Contact info, summary, experience. The standard stuff.
Standard labels, yeah, but the way you execute them has shifted.
Well, let's start with contact info, because the source had this warning that made me laugh. The silly, stinky Sam rule.
It happens so much more than you'd think. People use their email from high school.
PartyAnimal99.
Exactly. If your email is PartyAnimal99 or Silly Stinky Sam, you are dead on arrival. It screams unprofessional.
Immediately.
A clean email, name, city, phone number, LinkedIn URL. And notice what's missing there. No full street address anymore.
Right, privacy concerns. Plus, no one's mailing you a rejection letter.
Exactly. And with remote work being so common, the time zone matters more than the street. But this brings us to the most critical section, the meat of it. work experience.
And this is where the source says 90% of people get it wrong.
Totally wrong. They treat it like a list of responsibilities.
I showed up, I answered phones, I filed papers.
And it is so boring. It tells the employer what you did, but not how well you did it. A hiring manager can guess your duties from your job title.
They don't need a bullet point telling them a sales manager managed sales.
They need achievements. The source calls this the so what test. You managed a budget, so what?
Did you save money?
Right. You trained staff, so what? Did retention go up? Did error rates go down?
So it's the shift from being a passive participant to an active driver.
Yeah.
But that can be hard for people.
Yeah.
It feels like bragging. Or they just don't have the numbers.
But numbers are the universal language of value. They cut through all the fluff. Instead of saying improved efficiency, you say cut reporting time by 20%.
Managed a team becomes led a team of 12.
Exactly.
Okay, but I want to challenge that a bit because I hear that advice a lot. Use numbers. But what if your job isn't numerical? A graphic designer, a teacher. You can't say I increased art by 50%.
That's a great pushback. And the source actually addresses it. You have to look for what they call proxy metrics.
Proxy metrics.
Indicators of volume, scale, or speed. If you're a receptionist, you didn't just answer phones, you managed a high-volume switchboard with 50-plus calls daily.
Ah, okay.
If you're a teacher, you developed curriculum for 30 students with a 95% pass rate. There's almost always a number. How many? How much? How often?
So it's about scope. Even if you didn't make the company $1 million, you can quantify the scale of the work you handled.
Precisely. And you combine that with strong action verbs. It's a small detail, but it matters. Don't start with I or responsible for.
Start with the verb negotiated, spearheaded.
Created. It's punchy. It removes the passive voice.
It sounds way more authoritative.
Yeah.
Now, this advice works well if you have experience, but we should talk about the different fighters in the arena, as the source puts it.
Oh, drastically different strategies. A student cannot write the same resume as a 20-year veteran.
So let's start with the newbie, the recent grad who's thinking, I have no achievements, I've never had a real job.
But they do have experience, they just frame it wrong. For a student, your education is your work experience. You focus on relevant coursework, on projects.
A capstone project.
That's work experience.
What about the stuff that doesn't feel professional, like babysitting?
It absolutely counts if you translate it. Babysitting isn't watching kids, it's conflict resolution, schedule management, safety compliance.
That sounds a little bit like spin, doesn't it?
It's not spin if it's true. It's about identifying the transferable skill. Employers know a 22-year-old hasn't led a corporate merger. They're looking for traits.
Reliability, organization.
Exactly. Extracurriculars are gold here. You ran the chess club. That's budget management and event planning.
So they need to mine their lives for these soft skills. What about GPA? Is that still a thing?
Only if it's good. The source says the bar is about 3.5 or higher.
If it's lower, just leave it off.
Yeah, leave it off. They won't miss it. But if you put a 2.8 on there, you're just highlighting a weakness.
Fair enough. Okay, now let's flip the script.
Yeah.
The experienced pro.
Yeah.
15, 20 years of experience. Their problem is too much content.
The challenge here is editing. It's the highlight reel versus the documentary. You do not need the summer job you had in 1998.
So how far back should you go?
The rule of thumb is 10 to 15 years of detailed history. Anything older than that, you can either group it into a simple previous experience section or just drop it if it's not relevant.
That's got to be emotionally hard for people.
Yeah.
But I was the director of operations in 2002.
It was a big deal, I'm sure, but does it prove you can do the job today using today's technology? Probably not. You have to kill your darlings.
Okay, so there are a couple of specialists mentioned that break all these rules: federal resumes and healthcare.
Yes, huge asterisk here. If you're applying for a U.S. federal job, ignore everything we just said about brevity.
Really?
Federal resumes are their own beast. They need to be incredibly detailed, 4 or 5 pages sometimes, full addresses, hours worked per week, salary history.
So if you send a 1-page marketing flyer to the federal government,
you'll be rejected for an incomplete application. Simple as that. They value compliance over punchiness.
and healthcare.
Healthcare is all about credentials,
Yeah.
very technical. They need to know exactly what clinical procedures you can do, what patient populations you've worked with.
Pediatrics, ICU, geriatrics.
Right. You don't summarize that, you list the specifics. A nurse saying, I did nursing stuff, is useless.
Okay, let's pivot to the skills section.
Yeah.
This is another area that just feels like a dumping ground. Microsoft Word, Excel, the internet.
Please, please do not list the internet or email. Those are assumed in 2026.
So true. The source recommends a very tight list, just 6 to 10 skills. That seems low.
It forces you to prioritize, and this is where the 2026 context gets really interesting. The source references the Future of Jobs 2025 report.
And what's on that list? I'm assuming it's all AI and coding.
It's a mix, and the mix tells a story. So yes, you have AI and big data, technological literacy. You need the tools. But balancing that are these deeply human skills.
Like what?
Resilience, flexibility and agility, creative thinking, and empathy and active listening.
Huh. So empathy is a hard skill now.
Well, think about it. AI can analyze data. AI can write code. It can't navigate a sensitive client crisis with empathy. It can't lead a team through a merger with resilience.
As AI takes over the technical stuff, being a human becomes the specialized skill.
That's the idea. So you should absolutely list those skills next to Python and SQL. But, and this is a big
Don't use those silly charts.
the skill bars, the ones that look like video game stats. I am 80% proficient in leadership.
I hate those. What does that even mean?
It's nonsense. And worse, the ATS often can't read those graphics, so the robot sees nothing, and the human sees a confusing chart. Just use a simple, comma-separated list.
Which leads us perfectly into formatting. We want to look good, but looking too good is a trap.
It's the designer trap. You buy a beautiful template with 2 columns, icons, a photo. It looks great to you.
But the robot hates it.
The robot reads left to right, top to bottom. If you have 2 columns, the ATS might mash your work experience into your education. It just creates gibberish soup.
So we need to be boring.
We need to be clean, single column, standard headers, and standard fonts like Calibri or Merriweather, and no photos.
The no photo rule. This varies by country, right?
Yeah.
But for North America?
For North America, absolutely no photos. It just invites bias, ageism, racism, and a lot of HR departments will just auto-reject resumes with photos to avoid a lawsuit.
The source said, this isn't a dating profile.
I love that. So true. Keep the face for the interview.
What about length? Is the one-page rule still golden?
It's the rule of thumb, but we've relaxed a bit. 1 page is ideal because it forces you to be concise. But if you have 8 to 10 years of experience, 2 pages is perfectly acceptable.
Just don't go to 3.
Not unless you're writing an academic CV.
Oh, speaking of which, that's a distinction we should clarify. Resume versus CV. People use them interchangeably.
In North America, there's a hard line. A resume is a marketing document, 1 to 2 pages. A CV curriculum vitae is an academic scroll. For professors, researchers...
And it can be like 10 pages long.
Or longer. It lists every publication, every conference, every award. But if you're applying for a job in London,
Right.
they'll often use the term CV to mean what Americans call a resume. So if a London firm asks for a CV, they probably want the 2-page summary, not your entire life's work.
So you have to know the cultural context.
Context is everything.
It is. Okay, we've covered a massive amount of ground here. The robot gatekeeper, achievements, human skills. If you had to boil this all down for someone staring at that blinking cursor right now, what's the core idea?
It's a mindset shift. You are not writing a biography, you are writing a sales pitch.
So tailor every single time.
Use their words, not yours. Quantify your impact use numbers to prove you delivered value. And keep the format clean. Don't let a fancy design block you from the interview.
And stick to the relevant stuff. Which, that brings me to a final thought from the source that stuck with me. The hobbies section.
The space waster.
The space waster, we all have it. I like travel and reading. The source says you have to apply a relevance test. Does the hobby show a skill?
Exactly. If you run a marathon, that shows discipline. If you organize a book club, that's leadership. If you just watch TV...
Leave it off.
Yeah, it doesn't sell you. It's prime real estate. Don't waste it on Netflix.
It really is.
And please, for the love of your career, go change that email address.
Silly Stinky Sam, your time is up.
It really is.
Thanks for diving in with us. Now, stop procrastinating and go update that resume. Good luck.
Good luck.